Chapter 4, Criminal Justice Defensive Tactics, Unit 1, Lesson 1, Overview of Defensive Tactics Program. Program goal, understand the structure and goals of the Defensive Tactics Training Program. Purpose, given public scrutiny over use of force scenarios. The curriculum provides basic recruits with effective, tactically sound, legally defensible training to execute control techniques that are reasonable and necessary. Defensive tactics defined, a system of controlled defensive and offensive body movements used by criminal justice officers to respond to a subject's aggression or resistance. These physical skills are derived from a combination of martial arts, wrestling, and boxing. Core requirements: developing these skills relies heavily on physical fitness, strength, agility, balance, and flexibility. Training is predominantly physical rather than classroom-based. Application note: any weapon or technique can cause injury, great bodily harm, or death. Specific directional instructions, example, left hand or right foot, can be completely reversed by switching sides. Lesson 2, preparation for defensive tactics training. Program goal: prepare to participate in physical training and demonstrate stretching exercises, following techniques, and recovery techniques. Physical optimization requires modifying daily habits, including eating healthy foods, obtaining sufficient rest, and proper hydration to enhance performance and minimize injury risk. Daily stretching is necessary to maintain flexibility. Warm up and cool down. Warm up lasts 15 to 30 minutes. Example, running in place, jumping jacks, push-ups, to raise the heart rate and saturate muscles with oxygen. The cool down decreases metabolic rate and redistributes blood flow, helping muscles relax to prevent tightening and aid recovery. Recommended warm-up stretches: lunge and twist. Step forward into a lunge with arms held horizontally at 90 degrees. Twist the upper body left and right, 10 reps per side. Knee raises and high kicks. Alternate leg lifts to target the chest or hand level, 10 reps per leg. Arm swings and rotations, crossing arms or circular movements to warm up the upper body. Other stretches: arm crosses, jump squats, 10 to 15 reps, stationary sprints, and wrist rotations. Following techniques designed to reduce injury potential and minimize the stunning effect of hitting the ground so an officer can rapidly assume an effective defensive position. Front fall: give loud verbal commands, fall forward to a prone position, contacting the ground with palms, forearms, and feet while turning the head and exhaling. Use only one palm if falling with an unholstered weapon. Rear fall: give loud commands, tuck chin to the chest, squat, roll backward, and strike the ground with palms at a 45-degree angle while exhaling. Side fall: give loud commands, tuck chin, squat, roll to a rear quarter side, relax body, strike the ground with the same side palm, and exhale to prevent getting the wind knocked out. Foundation position: it's a defensive ground stance used to engage a subject or transition back to standing. Involves giving loud commands, propping the body up with an extended arm called posting, bending the knees with feet on the ground and keeping the free hand up defensively. Recovery to standing position: teaches an officer to get back on their feet from the foundation position while protecting their face, head, body, and weapon. This technique is critical to gaining necessary time and distance from an aggressive subject. Hip escapes or shrimping: movement from side to side from the foundation position to avoid, defend against an attack, or escape ground positions like side control or full mount. Done by tucking the chin, forcing hips up out by pushing off one foot, and imitating a pushing motion with the hands. Sprawl: a defensive maneuver used against the subject trying to shoot in for a takedown, done by shooting legs backwards, driving one hip down to stop forward momentum, and making chest contact with the subject's shoulder blades to drive them down. Recommended cool down stretches held for 10 to 20 seconds includes neck stretch, straight arm behind back stretch, behind neck triceps stretch, arm crossed in front of chest, overhead stretch, front chest stretch, butterfly stretch, spinal stretch, supine knee flex, seated bent knee stretch, modified hurdler stretch, and straddle stretch. Drills: pummeling drill, a grappling drill used to gain a double underhook position or dominant upper body control by alternating overhook and underhook arm positions with a partner under gradual resistance. Arm drag drill, technique where an officer grabs and pulls a subject's arm across their centerline to grasp the back of the arm above the elbow, creating an opening for dominant positioning like an escort or rear takedown. Conditioning, rest, and nutrition. Cardiovascular conditioning requires exercises that elevate the heart rate to 60 to 85% of its maximum rate to strengthen the heart and lungs. Nutrition requires a balanced intake of essential nutrients. Protein for building and repairing body cells. Carbohydrates providing energy to the brain and nervous system. Fat providing energy, carrying nutrients, forming cell membranes. Unit 2, use of force. Lesson 1, force guidelines. Goal: understand the application of reasonable and necessary force when taking a suspect into custody, working in corrections, or defending oneself or others. Legal statutes: Chapter 776, Florida State Statutes, governs all use of force by criminal justice officers, applying equally to law enforcement, corrections, and correctional probation officers. Force is legally justified to apprehend and arrest a subject or to defend oneself or others. Section 776.05 of the Florida Statutes states an officer need not retreat from a lawful arrest due to resistance and is justified in using force to defend against bodily harm or when retaking, arresting, fleeing felons under specific dangerous thresholds. Chapters 944 and 945 of the Florida State Statutes govern state correctional or probation officers authorizing force against inmates only to defend self or others, prevent escape, prevent property damage, quell disturbances, overcome physical resistance to commands, or administer supervised medical treatment. Objective reasonableness, established by the U.S. Supreme Court case Graham versus Connor in 1989. The appropriateness of force must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene at the time of the incident, rather than with a 20/20 perspective of hindsight. Force is considered a quote-unquote seizure under the Fourth Amendment, and excessive force can violate an inmate's Eighth Amendment protection against cruel and unusual punishment. Escalation, de-escalation, and disengagement. Force situations change rapidly. Officers may escalate force as subject resistance increases, but must de-escalate once control or compliance is achieved. Disengagement, discontinuing commands, physical force is a tactical option when outnumbered, injured, or waiting for backup. Subject resistance levels: positive resistance, verbal or physical refusal to comply with directions. Example, refusing to move, keeping hands in pockets. Active resistance, physically evasive movements to prevent control. Example, bracing, tensing, pulling away, running away. Aggressive resistance, hostile, attacking movements that may cause injury but are unlikely to cause death or great bodily harm. Example, balling fists, pushing, grabbing an officer. Deadly force resistance, attacking movements, creating a reasonable perception of imminent capability and intent to cause death or great bodily harm. Example, advancing with a knife, pointing a firearm, attempting to run down an officer with a car. Officer response options: officers do not have to apply force in gradually increasing steps, but must respond with force that is reasonably necessary for the circumstances. Officer presence, command presence, demeanor, personal grooming, posture, and uniform projecting a confident image, able to take control. This is an officer's first response to any scene. Physical control, achieving compliance through empty hand or leverage enhanced techniques. Example, pain compliance, takedowns, resist restraint devices, less lethal weapons, tools not fundamentally designed to cause death. Example, CEWs, expandable batons, chemical sprays, or flashlights. Deadly force, force likely to cause death or great bodily harm. Florida State Statute 776.06, including shooting at a person or vehicle, throat strikes or eye gouges. Under State Statute 776.07, Florida State Statutes, correctional officers are justified in using deadly force to prevent the escape of a lawfully detained person from a penal institution. Duty to intervene. Under State Statute 943.1735, Florida statutes, and an on-duty officer has a legal responsibility to intervene if they observe another officer engaging in excessive force, provided the intervention is reasonable and does not jeopardize their own safety. Deadly force criteria. Three criteria justify deadly force. Ability. The subject has the means to cause harm, including physical size or condition of physical weapon, is not explicitly required. Opportunity. The subject is capable of acting on a plan heavily dictated by distance and weapon type. Intent. Reasonably perceived threat based on actions, words, and the totality of circumstances. Totality of circumstances. This is the overall test used by courts to evaluate if a use of force choice was objectively reasonable based on all facts known or perceived at the time. Examples: severity of crime, immediate threat, bystander safety, physical terrain. Incident reports must clearly articulate these specific factors.